story opens on the sprawling grand architecture of the royal capital. A young girl with light hair cheerfully greets a fruit vendor at his stall. Noticing she is alone, the man asks why her mother isn't with her. She explains that her mother, a non-stop talker, got caught up in conversation. Suddenly, the girl's peaceful expression shifts as something draws her attention upward. A man in the crowd points a trembling finger, questioning the dark shape above. Her eyes widen with confusion and alarm as she gazes into the sky. A terrifying close-up reveals the snarling, fanged maw of a monstrous dragon. A blinding flash of light erupts without warning, engulfing the entire marketplace. In an instant, the city is transformed into a smoldering ruin of rubble. Survivors look on in disbelief as a child sits crying amidst the devastation. A voice from the crowd identifies the colossal, armored beast as the Black Dragon. The dragon looms over the terrified soldiers below like a demonic god. A man despairs, wondering why the Demon King's strongest lieutenant is here now. The young girl stares with a numb expression, hearing there is no chance of survival. A military commander screams desperately for his terrified men to form a formation. A disciplined contingent of robed figures arrives, preparing to cast offensive magic. The crowd gasps in relief, exclaiming that the Royal Mage Corps has arrived. The lead mage lets out a final, thunderous roar, issuing the command. He orders them to fire, unleashing a powerful magical blast at the dragon. The beast braces itself as the powerful magical assault streaks towards it. A man holding a child hopefully asks if they managed to defeat it. The attack connects, engulfing the dragon in a massive, fiery explosion. From within the smoke, the leader of the mages utters a defeated "no." A civilian whispers in horror that the beast doesn't have a single scratch. The mage commander's confident expression crumbles into one of pure shock. He quickly orders his mages to prepare defensive spells for the counterattack. The dragon's maw gapes open, gathering a sphere of pure destructive energy. Its devastating blast of darkness tears through the air toward the mages. The elite mages are obliterated, their bodies and robes torn to shreds. The commander stares in wide-eyed horror at the utter annihilation of his corps. A defeated survivor laments that they don't stand a chance against the monster. A young boy clutches his injured leg, crying out in pain and terror. Amidst the chaos, the young girl desperately asks a man if he's seen her mom. The terrified man shoves her away, telling her to get out of the way. She falls to the ground, crying out for her mom as the man despairs. A lone survivor kneels in the rubble, whispering that this is the end. A cloaked figure raises a hand, casting the seal of the demon-breaking barrier. The black dragon recoils in shock as its attack is suddenly stopped. A massive hexagonal barrier of light materializes, nullifying the dragon's lunge. The beast is thrown back, its attack completely deflected by the powerful magic. The mysterious figure then extends a calm hand to cast another spell. He summons the grace of the blessed rain to fall upon the ruined city. The wounded survivors look up in confusion as the shimmering rain begins. A man looks at his hands in shock as his wounds magically heal. The young girl looks up in wide-eyed wonder, asking what is happening. Someone points to the sky, shouting that there is a figure up there. The crowd recognizes the cloaked hero, identifying him as the Black Emperor. Their despair turns to joy as they cheer for their savior who came to help. They question if it is really him, the strongest Grade Zero adventurer. The Black Emperor looks down stoically as the people chant his name. He unleashes his own spell, the Divine Annihilation Spear, at the dragon. The powerful strike hits the dragon, causing it to stagger from the impact. The beast is wounded, with dark blood dripping from its powerful form. The hero calmly observes that the creature did not go down in one strike. He raises his hand again, preparing to continue his relentless assault. Numerous smaller orbs of dark energy manifest in the air around him. He declares he will just keep attacking until the beast finally falls. His expression is resolute, ready to unleash a barrage of powerful magic. The wounded dragon musters its strength for one final, desperate attack. It spews another torrent of destructive fire directly at the Black Emperor. The hero calmly states that the same tactic will not work a second time. Raising a hand, he declares that this time the dragon will not get away. He unleashes a massive wave of dark energy, forming an impenetrable shield. The dragon is torn apart from within by multiple spheres of brilliant light. Its head is partially disintegrated as its body ruptures and dissolves. The survivors, including the girl and the mage, stare up in stunned silence. He floats serenely in the air as the last of the dragon's wing turns to dust. From a high parapet, the mage commander watches the celebration erupt below. A roar of pure, unadulterated joy echoes from the entire crowd. The Black Emperor turns his head slightly, his gaze meeting the young girl's. Having completed his task, the hero silently departs from the scene. The crowd watches him go, with the girl remarking that he vanished. The survivors regret that they didn't even get a chance to thank him. The young girl Aoi looks on with an inspired and happy expression. Later, a receptionist calls out to the Black Emperor at the guild. She runs towards him to ask about the request he just completed. Nearby adventurers gulp nervously, watching the legendary hero's return. He confirms with a simple statement that the mission is now done. A guildswoman asks in disbelief if he really defeated the impossible black dragon. He explains that defeating the dragon was what he had been training for. He reveals that it was the deal he took to quit being a grade 0 adventurer. The guildswoman and others are left stammering, unable to comprehend his words. With finality, he announces his retirement from the prestigious rank of grade 0. The entire guild hall is frozen in a state of absolute collective shock. Only 8 people in the world hold the title of grade 0 adventurer. The shock of his retirement sends waves through nations and guilds. Despite their best efforts, the Black Emperor vanishes without a trace. 3 years later, a young man with dark hair overlooks a peaceful town. He declares it is time to start a new life. A new identity is born. His new adventurer license officially designates him as Blanc, a grade 10. A receptionist explains the license is needed for all future requests. He accepts the new, humble license with a quiet word of thanks. The cheerful receptionist apologizes for her late introduction to him. She introduces herself as Lena and welcomes him to the town of Claret. Walking through the quaint town, his new slow life finally begins. He thinks to himself that Claret is a nice, peaceful town. He reflects on his past, tired of the unbearable crowds of the capital. He recalls mastering the sword to hide his identity as the Black Emperor. Walking with a smile, he feels a quiet satisfaction with his new low rank. A friendly gatekeeper cheerfully notes the young man's registration seems to have gone smoothly. The young man thanks the guard for his earlier directions, who wishes him luck. The guard explains the town's proximity to the dangerous demon forest, welcomes new adventurers. Nearby adventurers discuss the forest's dangers, mentioning the second Demon King's territory. With a determined grin, the man realizes this means plentiful grunt work awaits him. Waving goodbye, the guard expresses that they are counting on the new rookie. The young man decides with resolve that his first order of business is taking a request. He pauses, however, deciding there is something else he must do first. A bell jingles as he enters a real estate office to find a place. An elderly agent with glasses gives him a warm welcome inside the office. The young man states his intention to buy a house, surprising the agent. The agent explains that most adventurers rent, as their money goes to gear. He recalls his master's advice that having a place to return to is important. He reflects that while he doesn't understand the feeling, he made plenty of money. When asked his preferences, he requests a big house that includes a bath. The agent offers a house on the outskirts, warning of possible monster activity. The agent leads the young man to a charming, vine-covered house. Stepping inside, the young man looks around the spacious living area, impressed. He glances at the large, elegant windows, taking in the details of the home. The agent notes the distance from the city center is the only downside. Delighted, the young man declares it a great house and says he will take it. The agent, relieved, asks how he would like to handle the payment. He calmly states he will pay in full, pulling a heavy pouch from his bag. The agent's eyes widen in utter shock at the sight of countless gold coins. The young man realizes with a sigh that he has made the situation awkward. He sits on the couch, musing that carrying 1,000 gold coins is a pain. He concludes the house is a bargain compared to the reward for slaying the dragon. Looking around, he thinks the house might be a bit big just for him. He reflects that he never liked cramped spaces anyway, feeling satisfied with his choice. His hand holds his new shimmering adventurer plate, inscribed with strange runes. He holds the grade 10 plate to his forehead, feeling a sense of accomplishment. A small, content smile finally appears on his lips as he begins his new life. A memory surfaces of adventurers gossiping about him getting bumped to grade 7. He recalls them grumbling about his special recommendation, expecting him to fail. In the memory, a voice calls out to him from behind. His master places a gentle hand on his head, telling him to ignore them. She advises him to silence the doubters by proving his merit with results. The young hooded boy simply agrees, turning to follow his master. A scene from his past shows him effortlessly defeating monsters, earning his rank. Onlookers marvel at his power, questioning who the mysterious newcomer is. A guild receptionist recalls the legend of him completing every request without complaint. Other adventurers praise him as a monster for his impossibly fast promotion. His master watches him from afar, speaking his true name, Blanc. She gives him his final task to slay the black dragon. She promises that once he completes this mission, he will be free to go. He questions the meaning of the task but agrees to do it if she commands. Back in his past, a receptionist cheerfully informs him of another noble's request. Her finger traces the details of the high-profile quest on her clipboard. She praises his incredible record, but he responds that he only does what he's told. He reports his mission complete amidst the cheers of adoring children. A guild official angrily scolds the children for running indoors where it's dangerous. The receptionist explains to the hooded emperor that they are new grade 10 recruits. She elaborates that they start with grunt work to build experience before fighting monsters. He internally scoffs, believing an adventurer's true purpose is slaying the Demon King's beasts. His companion asks if he finds such menial work to be meaningless. The townsfolk thanks the young recruits for their help, showing their gratitude. The emperor listens silently as the recruits are promised future work. He stands motionless, the concept of grunt work echoing in his mind. The receptionist explains how their small tasks have a profound impact on the community. His eyes widen in shock as he realizes he never noticed such things before. He questions the true meaning of his own actions as a monster slayer. He reflects that the monsters he killed were trophies for the greedy, not threats. He clenches his fist, wondering who the real errand boy truly was. Watching the children, he realizes he wants to do work that actually helps people. He despairs, knowing his high rank and noble requests prevent him from doing so. His eyes widen with a sudden dawning realization. The image of his past self stands alone, a symbol of his isolation. He understands that the key to his desire is freedom. Looking at the card, he thinks his master must have expected this all along. He holds the card to his forehead, hoping his heart can finally begin to heal. He remembers his past self as a numb killer who didn't even know his identity. He recalls having no memories before meeting his master, questioning who he truly is. He decides that his past doesn't matter anymore. He presses the card to his forehead, resolute in his decision to move forward. He sits up, declaring himself Blanc, a grade 10 adventurer. He stares at his new license, repeating to himself that he is just grade 10. He lets out a deep, steadying breath, preparing for his new life. He decides his first day of freedom deserves a proper start by picking up a request. As he leaves, he wonders what his master is doing now. The scene shifts to a grand building, far away from his new town. Inside, his master Klulu comments on the persistence of those seeking him. Chairman Vulcan retorts that she knows exactly why they are so persistent. With a smirk, Klulu demands that Vulcan reveal the Black Emperor's location. Vulcan tells her to give it up, reminding her it has been 3 years. He slams his fist on the desk, emphasizing the long passage of time. He shouts at her, reminding her she is his master and they need him. Vulcan demands to know why she is so obsessed with finding him. He complains that the request for the special grade adventurer won't go through. Klulu mockingly corrects him, saying he just can't make them go through. Vulcan's eye twitches with barely suppressed rage at her taunt. Her gaze turns sharp and threatening as she warns him not to dare. Vulcan stands his ground, asking who she thinks she's threatening. An immense pressure crushes him, making him gasp that he can't breathe. Klulu looms over him, stating this is the difference between their ranks. She states that only old obligations keep her here, or she would be gone. Vulcan insists this is why they need him, as he still accepts their jobs. She scoffs, dismissing his jobs as nothing more than errands. She steps forward, papers scattering, and asks if she is wrong. She laments that he never had a will of his own used by leeches. Grabbing his collar, she snarls that she pushed him to find his own strength. Klulu furiously grabs Vulcan, declaring he was never meant to be his tool. Turning away, she proclaims that Blanc has finally found his own genuine will. Her intense gaze warns the man that people like him have no right to interfere. From his desk, Vulcan cries out in protest, begging for her to wait. She slams the door behind her, ignoring his plea that their conversation isn't over. Alone in the hallway, she sighs in frustration, muttering about the headache he is. From the corridor, she gazes up at the large ornate windows of the building. A fond smile appears as she wonders aloud how her kid is doing now. She feels she has fulfilled her obligations and done her part in this matter. A new resolve forms as she decides it is time to see Blanc herself. Meanwhile, Blanc stands determined before the guild's grade 10 request board, ready to start. His eyes scan the various menial tasks, lost cats, cleaning, and herb gathering. He observes that the unpopular grade 10 jobs have many openings left on the board. Other adventurers note that monster hunting quests starting at grade 9 are always picked first. A nearby pair of adventurers discusses how quickly the easier gathering quests are taken. Blanc decisively pulls a slip from the board, deciding to start with this particular one. A cheerful receptionist confirms he is accepting the Heriagrass collection request. She places his adventurer license and the request form into a small, ornate box. With curiosity, Blanc watches as she closes the lid of the strange magical device. The receptionist explains his request is now logged, much to his innocent amazement. Still intrigued by the box, he asks if he can see a sample of the herb. She presents the Heriagrass, pointing out its distinctive twin-leaf split for identification. As he reaches for the plant, a sudden and sharp pain strikes his mind. He recoils, hissing in agony from the overwhelming influx of unwanted knowledge. The receptionist, alarmed by his pained reaction, asks if he is feeling all right. He clutches his head, explaining that knowledge he shouldn't know sometimes floods his mind. Dismissing his recurring headache, he thanks her for the sample and prepares to leave. The scene opens to a wide, cloudy sky above a dense forest area. Now deep in the woods, Blanc stands ready to begin his search for Heriagrass. He quickly spots a patch of the distinctive herbs that he is looking for. Crouching down, he notes with satisfaction that the plants are growing all over the place. He recalls the head pain knowledge dump on how to properly harvest the herbs. With his mysterious knowledge to guide him, he shifts his position to begin gathering. A wobbling slime appears, and he reflects on its surprisingly dangerous nature. The slime suddenly lunges forward, launching a swift and silent liquid attack. Its attack splashes harmlessly against his leg, having been effortlessly dodged. He looks down at the defeated monster, informing it that it chose poorly. His expression is one of calm resolve after the brief, inconsequential encounter. On the ground lies the slime's crystallized core, the only proof of its defeat. He considers selling the core, but dismisses the idea as he doesn't need the money. Ignoring the monster's remains, he immediately runs off to find more valuable herbs. He spots another large patch of the plants further into the woods. His enthusiasm grows as he exclaims that he has hit the absolute jackpot. A view of distant mountains shows the vast wilderness he has entered. Holding a full sack, he sniffs the herbs, satisfied with his day's work. Upon returning to the city, a gate guard remarks on his surprisingly large haul. Blanc enters the guild, carrying the heavy sack of meticulously gathered herbs. The friendly receptionist welcomes him back warmly, calling him by his new name, Mr. Blanc. She asks how his first request went, to which he replies there were no issues. He presents the sack for verification, and she looks on with initial surprise. She stammers that it's a lot, and he admits he got a bit carried away. The receptionist is taken aback, wondering why he'd get so into herb gathering. Blanc simply confirms her question, scratching his head with a slightly confused look. A small, amused smile crosses her lips as she finds his earnestness endearing. She tells him he's a strange one and asks him to wait during verification. Nearby, Blanc overhears adventurers gossiping about strange occurrences in the demon forest. They speak of rumors that high-tier monsters are appearing near the entrance. Another adventurer dismisses it, arguing the gate guards would have raised an alarm. One adventurer calls another a coward, who defensively denies being scared. The receptionist notes that the monsters are supposedly a peaceful type, but seems worried. Returning to Blanc, her expression shifts to one of pure delight and amazement. She explains everyone was shocked by the high quality of his first-time harvest. She passionately complains about the town's reckless adventurers and the resulting potion shortage. With heartfelt gratitude, she clasps her hands, saying he's been a huge help. Blanc listens calmly, his expression unreadable as he takes in her sincere thanks. The receptionist suddenly remembers something important she nearly forgot to give him. She beams as she congratulates him on officially completing his very first request. She hands back his newly updated adventurer's license, the task now complete. A small, satisfied smile appears on his face as he offers her his thanks. As he turns to leave, the receptionist watches him go with a thoughtful expression. Walking away from the guild, he quietly reflects on her grateful words. In a dark alley, he begins to chuckle to himself, confusing some passers-by. He joyfully declares he is now a certified errand boy and will do more tomorrow. The scene shifts to a quiet view of the town's rooftops at night. His foot lands silently on the roof tiles as he begins his next task. A group of children watches in awe as he leaps across the rooftops. He spots his target, a black cat sleeping peacefully in a barrel below. With a determined expression, he leaps down from his high vantage point. A sly grin spreads across his face as he whispers that he's found it. His foot lands just above the ear of a different, very startled calico cat. The surprised cat is sent flying as he lands in the middle of the alleyway. He deftly snatches the flailing cat out of midair, announcing his success. With his prize secured, he gracefully lands on some barrels and continues on. He holds the cat up, which stares back at him with a blank expression. He confirms its identity by checking its fuzzy features, much to the cat's dismay. The cat begins to thrash wildly and he pleads with it not to fall. He confirms it's the pink-collared calico, completing the request despite its struggles. He notes with frustration that the animal is stretching wildly to escape his grasp. He sighs, reflecting that monsters and animals alike attack him with unusual ferocity. He returns the unhappy cat to its grateful owner, deciding to rethink such jobs. His next job takes him to a bustling trading company's loading dock. The head of the company, Belmo, introduces himself and greets the new adventurer. The task involves loading heavy goods onto a large wooden wagon. Belmo explains that no one else took the unpopular manual labor job. He laments that adventurers prefer exciting monster fights over helping the local community. After apologizing for venting, Belmo rallies his workers to begin the task carefully. He instructs Blanc to simply load the goods according to his instructions. Blanc casually approaches a massive crate and prepares to lift it single-handedly. He walks away with the crate effortlessly, leaving the onlookers completely stunned. Noticing their collective shock, Blanc looks back with a genuinely confused expression. A young man named Blanc asks his supervisor, Mr. Belmo, for loading instructions. The supervisor stares back, his mouth agape in a state of utter shock. Flustered, Mr. Belmo tells him to pack from the back, amazed by his strength. Blanc casually remarks that the impossibly large load he carries is still quite light. His hand easily grips the massive sacks, showcasing his incredible power. Mr. Belmo expresses his disbelief, insisting that just one sack should be heavy. A voice booms out, urging the other workers to stop standing around and work. Spurred on, other workers vow not to be outdone by the skinny new guy. Blanc calmly warns them not to overdo it as they attempt to lift heavy loads. One man strains under a massive stack, his body trembling with the effort. He loses his balance, sending the towering stack of crates beginning to topple. The falling cargo threatens to crush him and a nearby girl who screams in terror. In a blur of motion, Blanc streaks across the scene to avert the disaster. He snatches both workers, pulling them to safety in the nick of time. Mr. Belmo shouts a desperate warning, reaching out as the accident unfolds. Holding the two stunned workers, Blanc calmly asks if they are both okay. His expression is serene as he looks down at the two people he just saved. The young woman, breathless with relief, stammers her heartfelt thanks for the rescue. Her male co-worker, blushing and flustered, also confirms that he is unhurt. The man's face then contorts in shock as he gazes upward at the scene. Blanc effortlessly holds the massive falling stack of crates aloft with one hand. He calmly asks Mr. Belmo to check the goods for any potential damage. With tears of gratitude, Belmo thanks Blanc for saving his workers as well. The supervisor marvels at Blanc's strength, noting he is stronger than he looks. Deeply impressed, Mr. Belmo offers him a full-time job on the spot. A small, knowing smile plays on Blanc's lips as he hears the offer. He politely declines, explaining his fondness for his current adventurer lifestyle. The crew tells him he is always welcome if he ever changes his mind. Blanc acknowledges their kindness as he prepares to leave the worksite. He walks away, reflecting on the strange feeling of being praised for helping. For someone who only knew fighting, this kind of praise was a new experience. Later at the guild, Lena cheerfully congratulates him on his promotion to grade 9. Blanc is visibly horrified by the news, flatly refusing the unwanted rank up. A baffled Lena questions his bizarre reaction, reminding him that it is an honor. She explains that promotion from the provisional grade 10 is automatic and mandatory. The reality of the unavoidable promotion hits Blanc with soul-crushing force. He collapses in despair, his dream of a simple life now utterly shattered. Lena points out that most people work hard to achieve such promotions. He insists there must be others who understand the glory of being grade 10. Changing tactics, Lena asks if adventurers shouldn't strive to help the public. She describes how grade 9 quests protect civilians from weak but real monster threats. Lena passionately states their greatest mission is to expand safe territory for humanity. Her words resonate deeply with Blanc, who realizes she is completely right. He considers hunting monsters to protect others, a new thought taking root. Lena then reveals a crucial detail: he can still take grade 10 requests. His despair vanishes instantly, replaced by sheer unadulterated joy at this news. Seeing his sudden change, Lena calmly concludes that everything is fine then. She sighs and prepares the magical guild box to process his rank change. Lena hands back his new license, again congratulating him on the promotion. He accepts the license, his face a mask of profound and visible disappointment. She then mentions a new request for him now that he is ranked up. Blanc questions the timing, still emotionally reeling from the unwanted promotion. A new voice calls to Lena, asking if Blanc is the person she mentioned. A cheerful girl named Aria appears, eagerly asking if he will be her mentor. The unexpected question leaves Blanc utterly stunned and at a loss for words. Aria looks at him with bright, expectant eyes, awaiting his answer. He immediately tries to refuse, insisting he is not the mentoring type. Lena scolds him, telling him to at least hear the proposal first. Aria slyly remarks that this entire situation is partly Blanc's own fault. Lena explains that his efficiency at quests has blocked other rookies from ranking up. She clarifies the issue isn't the jobs he takes, but the ones he avoids. The receptionist points out his avoidance of difficult, luck-based animal-finding requests. Such quests have low success rates, making them unpopular but necessary for rookies. Blanc realizes his cherry-picking of easy jobs has slowed down everyone else's progress. He reflects on his past, never imagining he could cause problems by working hard. A wave of guilt washes over him for making things harder while trying to help. Lena reassures him, saying the guild still appreciates his help with errand overflow. She simply notes that no one has ever fixated on grade 10 requests before. With a clap of her hands, she brings the conversation to its main point. She formally asks him to share his valuable skills and knowledge with others. The guild offers to properly compensate him for sharing his valuable expertise. She jokes about another promotion, which he grabs her hand to stop. Blanc wonders if he can teach knowledge when he doesn't know its source. Feeling responsible, he decides he cannot ignore the problem and accepts the request. Aria bows deeply, formally introducing herself and asking him to guide her. She insists on being formal, as she is learning from a senior adventurer. Her earnest enthusiasm for errand quests genuinely surprises and impresses Blanc. He recognizes her as a fellow errand lover and agrees to do their best. Lena processes their licenses, officially pairing them for the mentorship quest. As they leave, Lena waves them off, wishing them good luck on their task. Their first lesson begins as they walk into the forest for herb gathering. He learns that Arya's knowledge is limited to just one type of grass. Arya eagerly presents a plant she recognizes, ready for her first lesson. He immediately corrects her, explaining she should not pull plants by the roots. Blanc demonstrates how to properly cut the stem to preserve the plant's life. He advises against carrying herbs in water, which confuses Arya. The grass isn't valuable enough to justify the trouble of carrying heavy water containers. He notes the method works for other herbs, then notices Arya's quiet expression. She looks at him with shining eyes, captivated by his deep expertise. Arya praises him, amazed that he considers such detailed knowledge to be basic. She admits she never considered what to do after simply picking an herb. She realizes that even simple errand jobs must be performed with great care. A faint, almost imperceptible smile appears on Blanc's face as he listens. The smile widens slightly, showing his genuine appreciation for her understanding. He shares a new motto about respecting errands, which makes Arya laugh. He points out the next herb for their lesson, which is right by her foot. He identifies it as lilac grass, explaining that only the top is needed. Arya carefully plucks the upper leaves of the plant as he instructed. Blanc watches her progress with a focused and approving expression. The two continue their lesson, kneeling together in a sunlit forest clearing. Blanc's sharp gaze reveals his confusion, questioning what he just saw. Arya turns to him, asking what he was just warning her about. He dismisses his premonition, simply saying the plant would upset her stomach unprocessed. The dark forest canopy rustles ominously, hinting at an unseen presence. Back at the guild, Lena cheerfully congratulates him on reaching grade 8. With a tired expression, Blanc offers a weary word of thanks for the promotion. He confirms with Lena that he can avoid ranking up by not taking the test. A comically serious Blanc insists there is a more important matter to address now. Arya celebrates joyfully, having reached grade 9 thanks to Blanc's phenomenal mentoring. Despite Lena noting her happiness, Blanc states that one mentorship was more than enough. He expresses his relief that the trial case helped the guild's training program. Lena smiles warmly, hoping that one day he will finally achieve his goal. His interest is suddenly piqued by the mention of a new combat request. As Blanc approaches the counter, other adventurers begin whispering about him. One explains to his friend that Blanc is the infamous errand boy. The group discusses the rookie who only takes errands instead of hunting monsters. One adventurer points out that another rookie who joined later already outranks him. They find it strange that the guild favors him, even asking him to mentor. Lena tries to reassure Blanc, telling him not to let their words bother him. He seems unbothered, simply wondering aloud if he already has a nickname. His business concluded, Blanc gives a small wave of goodbye to the receptionists. Watching him leave, Lena rests her chin on her hand, calling him a weirdo. Suddenly, her colleague Rena bursts onto the scene, startling Lena with a hug. Rena grins, identifying the man who just left as the one from the rumors. Lena complains that Blanc was bad-mouthed to his face and remained completely chill. Her colleague agrees that the errand boy nickname fits his lack of ambition. Another staffer defends him, saying he helps by clearing leftover requests. Rena critiques his grumpy, low-energy vibe and messy hair. She asserts that adventurers should possess more drive and ambition. Lena snaps back, demanding to know why Rena thinks they work at the guild. With a flourish, Rena declares they work there to marry a promising hottie. She laments that the best prospects, Alan and Kevin, are transferring away. Turning the topic, Rena asks Lena if she has her eye on anyone. She advises Lena that it's smarter to target promising low-to-mid rankers early. Lena becomes flustered, insisting she isn't even looking for a partner. Rena presses on, asking hypothetically what kind of person she would choose. With a determined grin, Rena declares she won't let the topic go. Defeated, Lena quietly admits she would prefer a lower-ranked adventurer. Her friends are shocked, but Lena quickly clarifies her reasoning. She explains she'd rather her partner avoid anything too dangerous. With a soft smile, Lena says working and being together is more important. Rena listens intently, her expression softening as she processes her friend's words. She then brings up Lena's father, recalling he was also an adventurer. Lena confirms he died during a mission, her expression becoming somber. A flashback shows a young Lina hearing that her father was brave and honorable. She confesses that more than money or honor, she just wishes he had stayed. Rena understands, quietly acknowledging the depth of her friend's feelings. She points out that with those feelings, dating an adventurer would be difficult. With a teasing look, she suggests the errand boy wouldn't be a worry. Lena is momentarily surprised by the suggestion of the rumored adventurer. Rena concludes that Blanc is probably the closest thing to Lena's ideal. However, she adds that a guy with no future doesn't seem reliable either. She encourages Lena to choose someone who will ultimately make her happy. Elsewhere, Blanc is approached by the young adventurer Arya. She clenches her fists, asking if they can go on a quest together again. Arya explains the combat request is for Olem fruit in the demon forest. Blanc looks up thoughtfully, realizing he has never been in there either. She apologizes for interrupting his work, but he simply agrees to her request. He tells her they can head out now, surprising her with his readiness. Promising to be quick, he dashes off with his cargo, leaving her stunned. Arya watches him go, utterly amazed by his incredible speed. She marvels that reaching even grade 8 requires that much physical ability. A wave of self-doubt washes over her as she compares their strength. She quietly wonders if she can ever become the adventurer she aims to be. Shaking her head, she forcefully pushes away the negative thoughts. She declares she must try harder, just as Blanc reappears to encourage her. The two of them stand together, sharing a moment of mutual determination. He says he was waiting for her, and they set off on their quest. Their journey takes them into the dense, dark woods of the demon forest. The atmosphere is menacing, with gnarled trees and oppressive shadows. A red-haired woman collapses, sensing an impossible and terrifying magical presence. The sheer overwhelming force of the aura paralyzes her with dread. Looking up in horror, she realizes a creature they killed has somehow returned. She reaches out a trembling hand, her mind reeling from the shock. Before her looms a grotesque monster made of writhing vines and dark energy. She pleads for it to leave her alone, just wanting a peaceful life. Her desperate request is lost in the monster's suffocating, menacing presence. An ominous caption declares that a dark force, the sixth demon king, is stirring. A flashback shows Arya in combat, skillfully casting a water ball spell. The magical attack strikes a large serpent-like monster directly in the face. Arya's expression is focused and determined as she stands ready for more. She dodges a lunge from a wolf-like beast with impressive agility. From the sidelines, Blanc watches her defeat the monster, looking impressed. He compliments her skill and she beams, saying she has been training hard. Blanc observes that only weak monsters appear near the forest's entrance. He then asks Arya if she has always wanted to be an adventurer. She begins to tell him about her town being attacked by a black dragon. As she speaks, Blanc internally recognizes the very dragon he defeated. She recounts her despair, clenching her hands as she remembers giving up hope. Her expression shifts to awe as she describes the arrival of the Black Emperor. She excitedly chatters about his incredible magic, barrier, and healing powers. A memory shows a young, joyful Arya being embraced after her rescue. She tearfully decided then to become an adventurer who could protect people. With a radiant and confident smile, she declares him her ultimate role model. Blanc stares back, completely shocked by her heartfelt declaration. He processes the strange feeling of his actions inspiring someone. Arya cries out in pain, feeling a strange sensation in her hand. Blanc asks if she saw something, but she says no, just a strange feeling. Her attention is diverted as she spots a tree laden with fruit. She excitedly identifies them as Olem fruits, triggering Blanc's knowledge upload headache. Blanc inquires about any special instructions for picking the Olem fruits. He observes that the sharp stems could scratch the other fruits during transport. Holding an Olem fruit, he thoughtfully processes this new piece of information. An immense magical pressure, stronger than a dragon's, suddenly washes over him. He wonders if it's the third demon king, as Arya asks if they have enough. Confirming this is the demon forest, he finds the lack of hostility strange. Arya suggests they return before dark, and he agrees, wondering if this is normal. His curiosity is piqued, but he decides to simply observe the situation for now. Putting the mystery aside, he focuses his attention on the immediate task. With a swift circular motion of his sword, he expertly harvests the fruit. Perfectly severed from their stems, the fruits fall neatly into the waiting crates. Taking a breath, he feels a sense of purpose while workers marvel at his skill. He reflects that the tough stems would have made manual harvesting a nightmare. An excited blonde elf grabs him, shouting praise for his amazing technique. The orchard owner offers him a full-time job, which Blanc politely turns down. The scene transitions to a later time, viewed from a rooftop in town. A friendly town guard asks Blanc if he might be working too hard. Blanc looks up from his seat, surprised by the man's question. He insists that he honestly doesn't feel like he is overdoing it. The guard advises him to relax and explore the great town of Claret sometime. This thought strikes Blanc, who realizes he has only ever chased after jobs. A food vendor explains that the town has more to offer than just the demon forest. He kindly hands Blanc a large sizzling skewer of grilled meat. The vendor proudly promotes his skewers as one of the town's main selling points. After a bit of joking, the vendor insists he's completely serious about his food. Blanc takes a bite and agrees it would be a waste to ignore local culture. Inspired, he passionately declares he will start exploring Claret more regularly. Delighted, the vendor tosses him another skewer on the house. Blanc asks if he is sure, and the man confirms it's for all his help. He explains that all the folks around town truly appreciate what Blanc has done. The vendor asks why he's surprised since he's been handling their requests. Because of his regular foraging, the town is now well stocked on healing potions. He places a hand on Blanc's shoulder, offering the food as a token of thanks. With a solemn expression, Blanc listens to the town's appreciation. He gratefully accepts the food, promising to enjoy the generous offer. While eating, he muses that most adventurers seek higher rewards from nobles. He realizes with a start that food has never tasted this good before. A flashback to peaceful meals reveals he owes this new perspective to his master. He admits that monster hunts are undeniably cool, and the vendor agrees. With sudden conviction, he declares that doing errands can be cool too. His passionate outburst leaves the vendor and guards staring in surprise. They conclude he's a good but weird guy, mentioning Lena was stressed recently. Another man jokingly tells them not to hog the interesting newcomer. Suddenly, a crowd of grateful townspeople surrounds him, offering gifts. He becomes overwhelmed, struggling to carry all the food being pressed on him. From her flower shop, a woman watches the chaotic scene with an amused smile. Arya appears, teasing him about the overwhelming attention he's receiving. The flower shop owner also offers him flowers, which he politely declines. An idea suddenly sparks in his mind. He asks Arya about vegetables for a home garden, and she loves the idea. The shop owner suggests the low-maintenance tama root, and he agrees to take some. Wiping sweat from his brow, he finishes preparing his new garden plot. Standing back, he decides that what he's prepared should be plenty to start. He reflects that his mystery knowledge is handy for gardening too. He heads back into his house, closing the door firmly behind him. As he walks up the stairs, a realization begins to dawn on him. It occurs to him this is the first time he has ever just relaxed in his house. With a deep sigh of relief, he sinks into a large, steaming bath. He muses that days off are the best, and it was a waste not to know this. He thinks about all the simple, wonderful things he must have missed. So many joys were passed by without him even seeing them. This was only because he had been too listless to care about anything. He emerges from the water, feeling refreshed and revitalized. With renewed vigor, he declares he is ready to get back to work tomorrow. At the guild, Lena laughingly asks if he's taking another gathering quest. He brightly confirms his intention to collect olum fruit in the demon forest again. Lena cheerfully informs him that Arya actually took the same request moments ago. As he leaves, she sincerely warns him to be careful in the dangerous forest. She waves him off with a smile, but her expression remains thoughtful. Alone at her desk, she lets out a quiet, worried sigh. She chastises herself, realizing her own warning has made her feel nervous. Flustered, she denies caring about Blanc when called to the front desk. The guild doors are suddenly thrown open with a loud crashing sound. An injured and exhausted adventurer stumbles towards Lena's counter. He collapses onto the floor, gasping that he brings terrible news. A crowd gathers as he struggles to say the danger is in the demon forest. A vision of a golem appears as he screams that a tyrant golem has shown up. Lena is horrified, recognizing the creature as a powerful Grade 3 monster. A high-level adventurer notes that a Grade 3 at the entrance is insane. The collapsed man reveals with terror that there were actually 3 of them. Other adventurers begin to panic, knowing no high ranks are in their small city. A nearby door slams open with force, cutting through the rising panic. Branch leader Aw appears, shouting that an emergency mission is active. He orders all adventurers to mobilize for the defense of the city. An adventurer protests that Aw cannot possibly take on the golems alone. The adventurers have no choice, as the request is a mandatory guild contract. As the party moves out, Lena cries out to with concern. She reminds him that Grade 8 and 9 adventurers are currently in the forest. He realizes with dread they must have taken the Grade 9 fruit collection quest. He recalls that those two, the errand boy, tend to avoid combat missions. He grimly concludes they would be useless in a real fight. Lena thinks of Blanc, remembering his sword has never shown any signs of use. Her hands clench her dress in distress as she realizes the terrible implication. Aw grits his teeth, his expression one of grim and pained resolve. He tells Lena they cannot afford to worry about them right now. Lena looks back, horrified, knowing he is right but unable to accept it. Other adventurers affirm that in a crisis, everyone must protect themselves. Aw grabs her arm, insisting she let them go as the town comes first. Tears well in Lena's eyes as she whispers Blanc's name in despair. In the forest, Blanc's hand reaches for his sword as he calls out for Arya. A wounded Arya slumps against a tree, despairing that she does not want to die. Tears stream down her face as she thinks of her heroic idol, the Black Emperor. With her last bit of strength, she whispers a defiant no, before losing consciousness. A massive, menacing golem looms over her still form, casting a dark shadow. Its overwhelming presence signifies humanity's powerlessness against such a terrifying foe. Elsewhere, Blanc thoughtfully considers a problem, a puzzled expression on his face. He scans the forest, noticing a complete lack of the olum fruits he seeks. While walking through the woods, he dismisses the idea that Arya harvested everything. A look of horror crosses his face as he fears he might fail his first errand. Clutching his head in panic, he cannot bear to lose the town's newly earned trust. Suddenly, his attention snaps to an unseen disturbance, his expression instantly sharpening. A powerful monster's presence fills the air. He senses a threat of grade 3 or higher. He moves cautiously through the woods, his footsteps making no sound. Peeking from behind a thick bush, his eyes widen slightly at what he sees. He understands that the creature ahead is far too much for Claret's adventurers. His mind quickly identifies the foe, a grade 3 wood element tyrant golem. He deduces it has been absorbing the forest magic, killing the nearby plant life. Annoyance creases his brow. This thing is preventing him from completing his task. He resolves to handle it quickly so he can return to his normal work. As he approaches, he is surprised to see someone lying on the ground. The unconscious figure weakly murmurs a faint plea for help. His eyes widen in shock upon recognizing the familiar face of Arya. The golem raises its massive fist, preparing for a final crushing blow. In a flash, Blanc intercepts the attack, his sword deflecting the powerful strike. He deftly scoops Arya into his arms, pulling her from immediate danger. The golem's fist misses its target, smashing violently into the ground instead. Its impact shatters the cliffside where Arya had been lying just moments before. Holding her close, he calls out her name, his voice filled with urgent concern. He quickly uncorks a healing potion, preparing to administer first aid. The magical liquid flows over her wounds, which begin to glow and seal shut. Cradling her gently, he confirms the potion should stabilize her condition for now. A single tear escapes Arya's closed eye as a strange haze rises from her. Blanc looks on, completely bewildered by the unusual phenomenon he just witnessed. He feels a vague sense of familiarity trying to recall his master's lessons. Deciding to ask about it later, he lifts Arya to carry her from the forest. His priority is clear. He must get her back to the safety of town. His sharp gaze suddenly detects another threat approaching from the distance. A powerful energy blast tears through the trees, narrowly missing them. From a high vantage point, he takes in the full scope of the new threat. While leaping to safety, he questions what is truly happening in this forest. He realizes with alarm that he is now facing a whole group of tyrant golems. Another golem unleashes a brilliant sphere of destructive energy toward him. He dodges with incredible agility, Arya held securely in his arms. Landing safely in a tree, he contemplates how abnormal this situation is. His eyes widen again as a golem's fist smashes the tree he just left. He exclaims in surprise at the monster's incredible speed as he leaps away. He inwardly remarks on how fast the creature is for something so massive. Hiding behind a large rock, he notes that golems shouldn't form groups. He observes their coordinated attacks, knowing they lack the necessary intelligence. A dark thought begins to form, heralded by the image of a woman's hand. He wonders if some unseen entity is controlling the monsters from the shadows. Looking at Arya's unconscious face, he offers a quiet, sincere apology. He stands amidst the rubble, promising to end this so she can rest. A massive swipe from a golem's arm tears through the landscape at him. With a calm and focused gaze, he promises to finish this fight quickly. He unleashes a flurry of sword strikes, dismantling one of the powerful creatures. Leaping high into the air, he acknowledges that the golems pack a serious punch. His confidence is absolute. Their power is useless if they cannot hit him. He continues his evasive dance, weaving through their attacks with graceful ease. After the battle, he stands amidst the shattered remains of his defeated foes. He critically assesses his performance, feeling it falls short of his master's level. Despite his high standards, he concedes that it wasn't a shabby effort. His thoughts then turn to the aftermath and what must be done next. He surveys the field of debris, wondering how to deal with the defeated golems. A terrible vision of the guild's reaction to his feat fills his mind. He imagines the unwanted praise and attention his display of power would bring. The thought of a cheerful receptionist congratulating him on a promotion is horrifying. He envisions being forced to accept high-level commissions, ending his quiet life. He resolves that this future cannot happen. He must erase all the evidence. He knows Arya saw the golem, so destroying the bodies won't be enough. He remembers there is a way to erase everything completely, leaving no trace. He recalls a special elemental magic only he can cast, one of total erasure. However, his master's strict warning to never use it causes him to hesitate. He dismisses his conflict, deciding to clean up quickly to protect his peace. Raising his hand, he prepares to unleash the forbidden spell to end it. A sudden strange sensation stops him cold, and he questions what he feels. His eyes widen as an overwhelming magical presence washes over the area. This power is far denser than a tyrant golem or even a black dragon. He wonders what in the demon forest could unleash such an immense force. The source of the power pulses with a dark and ominous energy. He looks down at the three glowing cores of the defeated golems, utterly confused. The shattered remains begin to merge, a phenomenon he has never heard of. The newly formed super golem attacks instantly with a powerful crushing blow. He is thrown backward, the impact of the strike shaking the very air. The monster's attack carves a deep trench into the earth where he stood. He faces the colossal creature, sword ready, preparing for another battle. He clicks his tongue in annoyance, acknowledging that this new foe is tough. Skidding to a stop, he regains his footing to continue the difficult fight. He dodges another powerful strike, analyzing the monster's movements as he evades. The three glowing cores are now embedded within the giant's new form. He continues to evade its relentless assault, his mind racing to find a weakness. He notes that while its power has increased, its physical makeup remains the same. He looks up at the towering monster from a trench carved by its attack. Leaping from another strike, he realizes it absorbed dense magic to reinforce itself. With a smirk, he concludes that once understood, defeating it will be simple. He views the creature as the perfect punching bag for his frustrations. He decides to vent his anger over his failed errand on the massive monster. He launches himself into the air, a dark comet streaking toward the giant. He channels immense magical power into his sword, preparing for the final blow. Flipping upside down, he descends upon the golem to deliver a devastating strike. With a final devastating motion, Blanc unleashes his magic-infused sword against the golem. The colossal creature's magically reinforced body begins to crack and shatter under the immense force. He internally reasons that a magically hardened foe simply requires an even stronger magical attack. Blanc calmly concludes that this brutal, straightforward logic is all that is needed for victory. Landing gracefully on the ground, he watches as the massive creature begins to fall apart. The golem's form crumbles into large chunks of rock, its tough structure utterly failing. He lets out a small sound of awe, impressed by the sheer destructive power he unleashed. Its rocky remains continue to disintegrate, breaking down into a fine cloud of dust. He notes how the monster collapsed without leaving any salvageable materials for other adventurers. Standing over the empty battlefield, he considers himself lucky he could destroy the evidence. With the immediate threat gone, he carries the still unconscious Arya on his back. Upon reaching the guild, a large man angrily questions who these low-rank errand boys are. The man's eyes burn with an intense, intimidating glare as he confronts the two adventurers. On Blanc's back, Arya's eyes flutter open as she finally begins to regain consciousness. She awakens sometime later, finding herself in a rustic room with wooden shutters. A cheerful girl with glasses, Lena, expresses her profound relief that Arya is now awake. Arya, still disoriented, recognizes Lena and asks if she is inside the Adventurers Guild. Her memory returns in a panic as she recalls the huge, vicious golem from the forest. With a relieved look, Arya processes Lena's firm reassurance that she is now completely safe. She then wonders if the guild sent a rescue party, but Lena begins to stammer nervously. Arya is startled by a sudden interruption, questioning what is happening as Lena looks on. The guild's branch leader bursts in, bellowing with overwhelming relief that they made it back. The man, crushes Blanc in a hug, sobbing about how worried he was for him. From a nearby doorway, Arya and Lena peek out at the loud, emotional scene unfolding. Lena explains to a confused Arya that the man is their very emotional branch leader. Trapped in the tight embrace, Blanc's mind goes blank, overwhelmed by the man's character. Arya manages a weak, nervous laugh at the bizarre spectacle in the main hall. Lena then reveals the shocking news that it was Blanc who rescued Arya from the forest. Arya wonders if Blanc defeated the golem, recalling its menacing shadow in the woods. She quickly dismisses the thought, believing it to be impossible for a low-rank adventurer. The three of them sit together, trying to piece together the mysterious events of that day. Lena takes diligent notes on a clipboard, listening intently to Arya's harrowing account. A flashback shows Arya facing a massive outbreak of monsters deep within the forest. She remembers being knocked unconscious just as the powerful golem moved in for the kill. Lena logically deduces that Blanc must have appeared at the perfect moment to save her. However, the group notes that Blanc has never accepted a single combat-related request. Lena adds to the mystery, mentioning that a large battle was definitely witnessed from town. She points out Arya's injuries were healed, suggesting a powerful healer was also involved. Arya leaps up, realizing she feels no pain and wonders who on earth healed her. Lena speculates that a powerful, high-ranked adventurer might have been passing through the area. A memory of the Black Emperor's silhouette flashes, but Arya quickly dismisses the connection. Regardless, she feels deep gratitude and resolves to properly thank her unknown savior. Her gaze then falls upon Blanc, who is being exuberantly thanked by branch leader Blanc looks on with a blank, pained expression, enduring the very public, unwanted attention. Arya and Lena watch the chaotic scene unfold with amused and knowing smiles. They decide it's best to wait until later, as Blanc appears to be quite busy. A month later, a frustrated Blanc declares his desperate desire to take on a request. Lena listens with a patient, closed-eye smile, understanding his current predicament. He groans in frustration before a poster announcing the golem investigation and forest restrictions. The investigation into the massive forest has been ongoing for a month, led by Ugh. This has caused all the low-rank side jobs he usually takes to be snapped up. Lena brightly suggests the promotion exam as a potential solution to his problem. Blanc vanishes from the counter before she can even finish her helpful sentence. Outside, he mutters in annoyance about how much disruption the single monster has caused. He considers going home to his garden but stops, a new thought forming in his mind. He questions if passively waiting is the right choice for a self-proclaimed hero of the people. With a firm stomp of his foot, he decides that this course of inaction is unacceptable. He resolves to handle the root cause of the problem himself to fix everything. He declares that no one will be allowed to interfere with his peaceful errand boy life. With a quiet, decisive motion, he plucks a small flower from a nearby bush. He quickly ducks down, checking his surroundings to make sure no one is watching him. From a nearby rooftop, a guard looks over the area, but doesn't seem to notice him. Satisfied that he is unobserved, he confirms that he can now proceed with his secret plan. He stealthily approaches the entrance to the demon forest, ready to begin his unauthorized mission. Looking out at the vast, sprawling woodland, he acknowledges the immense size of the forest. He decides his first step is to follow the same magical signature he sensed before. He contemplates his travel options, weighing the speed of flight against the risk of detection. Stroking his chin in thought, he continues to ponder the best and safest way to proceed. With a sigh of resignation, he concludes that simply running is the safest, most discreet option. He optimistically thinks that no matter the distance, he will eventually reach his destination. A great rumbling sound suddenly fills the air as a massive herd of monsters stampedes. He skids to a halt, his eyes widening in surprise at the sudden chaotic scene. He immediately recognizes them as the creatures Arya mentioned fleeing from the forest depths. A ferocious rank 6 rock grizzly lunges forward, letting out a terrifying guttural roar. The massive beast gets dangerously close, its rocky claws extended and ready to strike. He effortlessly dodges, apologizing that he is in too much of a hurry to fight. With a series of nimble hops and leaps, he vaults clean over the roaring creature's back. He casually calls out that he will see the surprised monster again on his way back. His expression turns weary as he continues his journey into the increasingly dangerous woods. He soon encounters a rank 3 chaos monkey, a far more powerful foe than expected. Another rank 3 monster, a hulking tyrant golem, also appears directly in his path. A grotesque rank 3 berserk Trent joins the growing number of powerful threats he faces. Leaping over an attack, he notes with annoyance that their sheer numbers are becoming a problem. He theorizes that the guild's monster intel is wrong because no one has explored this deep. Surrounded by serpents, he thinks a rank 2 skill is needed for this relentless onslaught. The constant combat brings back vivid memories of his grueling training days with his master. He swings his sword with deadly precision, the motion blending into a memory of his past. A flashback shows his master, a beautiful elf, screaming his name during a training session. A younger, terrified Blanc faces a monster under his master's demanding and watchful eye. His master's voice echoes in his mind, ordering him to never let his guard down. Back in the present, he reflects grimly on the sheer harshness of his childhood training. He concludes that such intense training was definitely not appropriate for a young child. After 3 long days, his journey through the dense forest continues under the bright sun. He worries that his daily check-ins at the guild will inevitably arouse unwanted suspicion. He shudders, dreading another one of Aw's sweaty, emotional, and bone-crushing celebratory hugs. Finally, he arrives at a clearing and identifies the core of the entire forest's magic. He observes that its power is on a completely different level than the fusion golem. His gaze sharpens as he senses a hidden conscious presence within the immense magical energy. He calls out into the empty clearing, stating that he knows someone is there with him. In response, an ethereal feminine figure with long red hair begins to materialize. Having finally arrived after a 3-day trek, he voices his irritation. With a frustrated expression, he demands the unseen entity show itself. The ground suddenly erupts violently beneath his feet. He leaps back from the spikes, remarking on the hostile welcome. Clicking his tongue, he shows his annoyance at the aggressive greeting. An ethereal woman appears, acknowledging his comment about the welcome. She senses something is wrong, questioning if he is truly human. With a serious gaze, he quietly confirms his humanity. The being wonders why a human possesses a demon lord's aura. She identifies his powerful presence as that of the 6th demon lord. His mind reels, questioning the existence of a 6th lord. He expresses his confusion, stating he only knew of 5 demon lords. A flicker of hope crosses her face as she considers dialogue. She notes the 3rd lord is friendly, preferring a peaceful outcome. Her suspicion returns, questioning why a demon lord would need a sword. Claiming total ignorance, he politely asks her for an explanation. The woman begins to explain the previous 6th lord was different. She describes it as a mindless vessel of pure cosmic destruction. With a grim look, she resolves to confirm the truth herself. Her graceful form erupts into a horrifying mass of writhing tentacles. He grimly notes that diplomacy has failed and the situation is bad. The tentacles lash out, forcing him to defend with a grunt. He finds it difficult to fend off the attack with just a sword. He dodges desperately through the overwhelming storm of appendages. The woman declares that any demon lord remains an enemy of humanity. Surrounded, he stands his ground against the swirling vortex of attacks. With a determined glint, he accepts he has no other choice. He prepares to launch his own counterattack, sword held ready. A volley of sharp magical blades shoot towards his monstrous foe. The woman is visibly surprised by his sudden display of power. One of her massive tentacles is cleanly severed by his assault. Despite his small victory, he knows the situation is dire.